It's funny, pursuing a career in financial planning, it's very similar to caddying. You're trying to tell people, sort of guide them along the way.
That's a good analogy. Probably first time I've heard that analogy, but actually you're absolutely right. Today we have a very exciting episode. So I've got our fourth cohort of our Trainee Wealth Manager program here. So I've got 4 of them. I feel a little bit outnumbered.
When you lay out the job and lay out financial planning, there's a part of it that's about numbers and understanding figures, but actually in reality it's not about numbers. It's not about you investing. It's about helping people structure their life and structure their finances.
A friend of mine from university that I was living with in London at the time basically told me, Shane, I'm not telling you to hop on an oil rig, but go out to the Middle East, get a job and find out.
I love a challenge. I've always loved a challenge. And I think there's this quote that goes, discipline equals freedom. And I really resonate with that.
You guys are 24, both of you, I think, and you guys are 22. I hadn't even thought about financial planning when I was 22 years old.
I already knew what we was doing, but from the last 3 months, what has made me better is understand why we're doing it.
Welcome to Hoxton Life. Today we have a very exciting episode. So I've got our 4th cohort of our Trainee Wealth Manager program here. So I've got 4 of them. I feel a little bit outnumbered. But today we're going to talk about their journey so far, what the program is and how it works, and basically what made them choose Hoxton and how they're progressing through that career already. I think we're 4 months through the course so far. So here today we've got Darsh, Harry, Shane and Roman. And now we're going to go through and hear a little bit more about you guys and how it's been going. So I'm going to start with you over there, Darsh. So obviously tell me a little bit about your background and how you came to apply for the role with Hoxton.
Okay, so firstly, I'm 22, straight out of university. I went to University of Nottingham, did my degree there, and I also did some various internships, which kind of made me interested in the finance field in general, such as amplify trading. And now I'm out here in Dubai, starting my career in wealth management, which I'm really excited by the prospect. And somehow it's already 4 months in, and I can't look back. And I think a lot of those skills I also developed from my sports. For instance, at university, I was very involved in badminton, played in the badminton leagues, and also cricket. So I was also a team captain. So I think a lot of those skills definitely have transferred into this role as I start my career in this field.
Fantastic. So when you guys start off, obviously before you came on board this time, we sent you quite a lengthy document, which took a lot of blood, sweat and tears for us all to write it. And the purpose of that was obviously you were cohort number 4. Every cohort that started, and it was quite funny actually, I had Lalit say to me the other day how much better our program was for you guys than it was for him when he was the first one. We've evolved and got better. The document was there as a purpose really to tell you what the role is, what the journey is and how far it's going to take you. But when we spoke, Harry, we obviously went through, I think when I spoke to you, one of the things that really impressed me about you is you were in Whistler on a ski season and it was 3 o'clock in the morning, you were there with a suit on, so that was pretty good. When we spoke and I gave you that document, when you read that, what jumped off the page for you?
It was really interesting because it was obviously about the job and what the job actually entails and how you do get a lot of benefits out of it, but also about it's not easy. And I'm sure all of us, we all watched the podcast before we joined to get an idea of the job and to get an idea of the role in the company. And we knew that coming in, and we knew that by the time we got the document because we'd seen that before getting to that stage.
And it's a great career for you guys. You guys are 24, both of you, I think, and you guys are 22. I hadn't even thought about financial planning when I was 22 years old. And it's starting off where you are. You've got a 3 to 5 year program. We're going to take you through, we'll teach you to prospect first, which is the hardest part, which you're all experiencing right now. We're then going to go in, so you're starting with Rebecca to do your exams, and then as time goes on, you'll start to learn the advice processes and things. So by the time you guys are 26, 27, you'll be fully qualified, you'll be available to speak to clients, you guys are, just following on after that. That program's really important. Roman, you started off, you were working in an FX desk, was it? So you were used to the phone, right?
Yes, yeah. The only main difference is for what I was doing before is obviously I was speaking to businesses, and this is business to consumer. So it is a big difference. I thought coming into it would be quite an easy transition, but it wasn't as easy as I thought. It's just a completely different process, different conversations, But yeah, it did help me having telephone experience before. So
Yeah, it definitely gives you a leg up, right? But at the same time, sometimes too much experience can be a negative as well, because we do things in a slightly different way. Obviously, at the moment, we've got Matt, who is he's running the pathway, and then we have the team leaders, and then we have the other trainee wealth managers. Shane, obviously, your journey's been a bit of an interesting one. So you're originally from New York or New Jersey?
Yep, originally from New Jersey, where I grew up and went to high school, and then went over to the UK, studying Arabic and International Relations at the University of St Andrews. Moved down to London, where I was working for a startup investment research firm, and then in January of this year, I moved out here, having wanted to pursue a financial career in the Middle East. And then obviously the opportunity with Hoxton came up around May when I joined with these guys. So it's been an interesting journey, a bit different from everyone else, but yeah, safe to say I've enjoyed the ride so far.
And St Andrews, that must mean that you're a keen golfer?
Yeah, a little bit. I caddied on the old course for 2 summers, played it over 100 times. I have a shoebox at home of every 4 years, every single scorecard that I have. For my 100th round, we raised, for a friend of mine with cancer, my little brother who had leukemia at the time, we raised 8,500 pounds from 100th round, which was really cool. So yeah, I love town, love being involved with it. I think, it's funny, pursuing a career in financial planning, it's very similar to caddying. You're trying to tell people, sort of guide them along the way. It's their journey at the end of the day, but you're there to just guide and make sure that they don't make any errors and course manage for them, if you will. So I think there's a lot of good synergies between the role and caddying.
That's a good analogy. Probably first time I've heard that analogy, but actually, you're absolutely right, because you can't, as a caddy, you can't really tell someone what to do. You've got to give them the advice, and they've got to make their own decisions. That's really good. I'm going to use that again. So you've come in, you're 4 months in. We gave you a document to try and outline it. I mean, has it been exactly what you thought it was going to be? Has there been tough times? Has there been good times? Harry, how have you found it in relation to what you expected you were coming into?
Yeah, again, I hate touching it whilst we're on the podcast, but genuinely it was a podcast that made me realise what the job was about. And I think I said it to you at the start, like I've not been surprised at what I'm getting, and it's been exactly what I've expected, but in a really, really positive way. But I knew that, and it's been really positive, and there's events on constantly that are there for us, and it's been brilliant. I've been really pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, and when we talk about that, obviously, we've really tried to instill a structured training program. So, I'm probably going to get this wrong now, actually, because I don't really host the training much anymore. But how many training sessions do you have a week, Darsh? I mean, I know you have sessions with the pathway advisors working closely with you, and then you're sitting on other sessions where we do call listening things. I mean, on average, how many sessions do you say you're sitting a week?
Yeah, so we are probably having, I think, 2 training sessions with our manager, which is Matt Morgan. And we also have sessions with Ollie Japp, who gives us a guidance on how we can best do our role. We also have other sessions from other members of the team and people who are further crossing the pathway, such as Derek Anthony, Tom Streeder, who are already advisors and much more further along that process. And that way we're able to get a greater understanding of what that role entails, given that we're just trainees at this stage.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And do you feel like you're picking, I mean, I can see that you're all picking up and you've done well. What we changed with this cohort this year, as I said to you, is we brought you guys straight to Dubai. Previously, what we used to do is we used to start in the UK, and then people were flying back and forward, and then we kind of looked at it and went, well, that doesn't make any sense, because the hub of what we do really is here. Do you feel like you're learning stuff as you go along, Roman? Like, obviously you knew the phone, so that was the part you stepped straight into. But when it comes to the other parts, do you feel like you're learning through those sessions and you're gaining the knowledge you need?
yeah, of course. I mean, one of the main things why it's helped is I already knew what we was doing, because obviously through the interview process, the packet you gave us, the podcast, etc. But from the last 3 months, what has made me better is understand why we're doing it. And those training sessions have really, really helped for that. Just more understanding why someone would want to actually use our services and on the advice that we give. Just gives you a little bit more confidence when you're speaking to people, even though we're not giving the advice ourselves. I think that's made a big difference.
Yeah, okay. And obviously you're all on a pathway and you're going to become financial planners in the future. You're 4 months in, right? So it's still right at the beginning, but can you already see that that's what's going to happen in the future? Do you feel like you can go down that pathway and progress to become that financial planner down the line? And whether it's 2 years, 4 years, 6 years, Can you see the journey of that getting you there?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I've already, even though, like you said, we've only been here for a few months, I already started to think, working with the people providing us the leads, understanding certain areas that I'm more interested in, certain advice that I think I would work well in when I'm actually an advisor. So yeah, I can already see it, the path, exactly the pathway.
It's exactly what it is, right? And it's a, you know, there's a huge advice gap for younger planners coming into the profession. I mean, in the UK, I think the average age of an advisor is 57 or something crazy like that. I mean, at Hoxton, I think it's 35, 37, something along those lines. And I actually think it's a fantastic lifestyle job. You know, for you guys, it's not a lifestyle job right now, so don't get any ideas. So, but right now it's about building and growing. But when you get to that point in the future, like a Ravi or a Moheen, and you know, those guys all started exactly the same place you did, right? You can have your client bank, you can maybe fly around the world, you can see clients in different jurisdictions. I mean, it's a great career to have. And I think that pathway side of it's really, really important. So Shane, what made you apply for Hoxton?
Well, I think for me, I've always wanted to move out to the Middle East. I started studying Arabic in high school, and then, you know, continued my studies of Arabic as well as international relations in uni. So I always knew that moving to the Middle East was on the cards for me. It didn't really come into the picture, though, until I moved down to London. I was considering either staying in the UK and getting my indefinite leave to remain, my ILR, become a permanent resident of the UK, or to say, well, you know, at some point later down the line, I could move back to the UK, but I'd like to pursue this now while the opportunity is here. So I remember very fondly a friend of mine from university that I was living with in London at the time. His father works in private equity and does a lot of work in Saudi, and he basically told me, Shane, I'm not telling you to hop on an oil rig, but go out to the Middle East, get a job and find out and figure it out. And that's really what I did. I moved out in January, took a contract sales role, heard about Hoxton a bit in London. I was more intrigued by the opportunity, knowing that the global HQ was in Dubai. And I think for me personally, which is a bit unique comparatively to the other boys, is that, you know, obviously Chris talks a lot about the U.S. domestic business growing. If I ever wanted to move home, there's an avenue there. I think I have a lot of shared experiences with, you know, U.S. expats in the U.K. and Europe. I also have a shared experience with U.K. expats living here because I lived in the U.K. for 7-8 years and moved on over here. So I think there's a lot of opportunities in this region. There's a lot of opportunities globally. And I just think, you know, yes, Hoxton gives you the foundation and the structure, but I think it really is a blank canvas for you to go and explore what really interests you in your career. And, you know, that's sort of the beauty of the opportunity, is that you get to go and explore things that you're interested in. Hoxton's there to help you along the way, so long as it's revenue generating. And I think that's really, really cool thing, especially, you know, I'm only 24, right? Got a long time until I'm 30. So really, really good stuff to look forward to.
Oh, 100%. And like, I think, you know, when you came on board, you're quite unique, right? And by unique, I only mean because typically we're made up of British people, you know, and Shane's come on, I think he's got a massive advantage because actually you're one of about 25 that actually has something a little bit different to talk about. And the fact that you've got that connection to the UK and you've got the thing, and I mean, obviously helpful that you're from New Jersey, and we have an office in New York. So that, you know, that not that I want you to go home anytime soon, but that's an opportunity for you as well. Okay, excellent. So Harry, and I know that we had a good conversation about this one thing. What really impressed me is, for me, it is a job, but it's a career. And, you know, you're not going to come into this career and this job career now, and you're not going to make £1 million in your first year. You're like, there has to be a reason you want to do it. So what was it that piqued your interest and got you interested in financial planning?
I've always been quite an entrepreneurial person, and I've always, pretty much as long as I can remember, been working and starting up, not necessarily businesses, but always going out my way, grass cutting for neighbours, and going out my way to do things. And so I always knew finance in some form would be something of interest to me, but I'm not that good at maths. I'm not a numbers person like some people are when you go to uni. And looking at A-levels, I didn't do A-level maths. So that I guess was a concern. So then when someone mentioned to me financial planning and financial advice, it sort of sparked that interest. And then I remember in sort of my second year of uni, one of my best mates, his girlfriend came to me and said, look, I know you're really good with numbers. You like to sort of watch Martin Lewis and know what's going on. Could we sit down and have a chat about what I should do with any money I've got, any sort of savings? So we sat down, we had a conversation for sort of a good half an hour, good hour really. And I went through all the different pieces. I sent her the links to Martin Lewis's website. And off the back of that, I was like, you know what? This is it. Like, I could see myself doing this. I really could. And yeah, I mean, when you lay out the job and lay out financial planning, there's a part of it that's about numbers and understanding figures and textbook and exactly sort of all the qualifications there. But actually, in reality, it's not about numbers. It's not about you investing. It's about helping people structure their life and structure their finances. And that was the interest to me.
The numbers are the easy bit because you just use a calculator and we have systems of programmers. It's actually the relationship. And people say to me what I do. I mean, it's like different. I do something, but like when I'm talking about financial planning, is I help people to understand what they need to do to get to a goal, and then I facilitate that. And that's kind of what it is. I mean, really, I joke and say I just get paid to speak to people for a living. It's a little bit more than that, so I don't think. But so obviously, you know, Darsh, you're 22 years old. Yeah, you came on an interview, you know, your enthusiasm was unbelievable, and you said, right, yeah, and I asked you about moving to the Middle East, and you're like, yeah, no problem at all. Like, for me, it was daunting when I was 25, 26, and I moved with my wife, well, it was my partner then. How's that move been? You know, the offices are quite welcoming, I hope, and are you making some friends, and you got settled in over here?
Yeah, I mean, I love a challenge. I've always loved a challenge. And I think there's this quote that goes, discipline equals freedom. And I really resonate with that. And honestly, I think so differently about the world compared to how I used to, just because now that I've left all my family and friends behind, I've kind of opened myself up to the world, which is incredibly freeing, I think. And at only 22, I think I'm surrounded by such ambitious, driven colleagues that I'm only forced to go up. You know, my learning curve will be geometric, as to put it. So I'm looking forward to that. Yeah.
And Roman, you've the office. You know, we don't talk about being a family because we're not a family; we're a team, right? But you work around a team of guys. You've got team leaders and people around you. How was it moving into the office? Obviously, you've worked in an office in London. I mean, it is quite fast paced, I know. But the people you're working with, you build friendships, you know, obviously quite settled, and they've looked after you as well.
Yeah, no, the transition into the company has been really, really easy. Everyone's very welcoming. I've made quite good friends already. And what really helps, because you can see everyone is just, they are focused on their work. So you're focused on your work as well, because there's nothing else to do except from be focused on your work. So that's been, it's been quite easy to start.
Yeah, and any challenges? You know, obviously we're working across different jurisdictions. You know, what challenges have you faced since you've started? I mean, there's always going to be some, but what challenges have you faced?
I mean, what I mentioned earlier was probably the biggest transition, because I did have an expectation that I would just start and I already know what I'm doing, but I didn't. And obviously that's because I'm a little bit younger and not as wise as everyone, as some other people. But yeah, just the learning curve from transitioning from one sales process to a different sales process has probably been the most difficult.
Yeah. And you started so recently, so we've started you up with Rebecca. So Rebecca Ward is the lady that comes in, does all our CRSI training. She's, what's great about Rebecca is she's worked with lots of people like us, so she doesn't tend to take any shit, and she tends to tell you when you fib into her and all those sorts of things. She's probably called a couple of you out already. I'd imagine you've tried to pull the wool over your eyes, but she's taking you through your CRSI exams. How's that, you know, introducing that into the... And I think it's a great time to do it with you guys, because some of you just out of university just get straight back into it and study. How are you finding the exam, the start of that study, Shane?
Yeah, I think it's been really good. She's been helping me out with structure. I know just balancing work as well as studying has been a good experience. I think helped me get a bit more organized back to my uni days. And I know I spoke with her specifically, as well as you, Matt, about just putting a bit more structure in my day, which has been super helpful, so that I can balance, you know, optimizing and being most effective whilst in the office, and then whilst outside the office, making sure that I'm putting in the hours to study and pass my exams.
Excellent. And Dubai, had any of you been to Dubai before?
I've been on holiday.
You've been on holiday? You'd been before?
Yeah, I have a family out here, so I've been quite a few times.
So you'd never been before? Okay, well, we'll ask you this question then. So, never been to Dubai before? You know, obviously you see it on these TV programs, which we shouldn't make our decisions based on that. How has the transition to Dubai been, and how are you finding? I mean, you moved here at probably the worst time, really. You moved here in May, didn't you? Which was just before the summer. So you've not even experienced the nice weather. But overall, your feeling of Dubai as a young professional at your age?
It's awesome. I mean, there is so much opportunity here, and so many people in a similar position to yourself that want ambition, they want growth, they want to go out their way and really do something with their lives and their careers. So in that sense, it's awesome. I think what I would say to anyone joining is it's not easy. You are, especially if you're in my position where you've never been here before. I came out knowing no one, and like it's hard, but it is so much easier coming into a company where everyone genuinely is there to help you, and everyone's done it as well. And you guys are brilliant. You looked after us when we first got here, so we didn't have to worry about accommodation, and we had a really easy transition in. And yeah, it's not going to be easy moving to Dubai. Like, it's something to think about, and it will be scary. But yeah, I mean, I look back at the UK and think, would I move back there? And really, I couldn't do it to myself at the moment, because there's such an opportunity here. I really couldn't at the moment, and I love the UK. It's nothing against the UK. I really do love it. But for the opportunity that's here, I mean, yeah, I really don't think I could get that back home.
Yeah, and obviously, one thing I do want to talk about is Dubai is quite an expensive place, right? But sometimes I think people think it's more expensive than what it is, and it's kind of the lifestyle that we choose to lead is expensive. So the reason we obviously created the salaried role for you guys is we looked at it and went, okay, you're not going to live like kings, you're not. But if you go and get a room share, and if you do what you need to do at the beginning of your career, if you're in London, you'd have to do a room share, unless you lived at home. Like, people just seem to forget. And then I always laugh when I see someone walking in with a 25 dirham Starbucks coffee when they've just started out, and I'm drinking espressos because I don't want to spend that much money. And I'm like, that's not going to last. But it's about budgeting. How have you found that budgeting part of it, Ram? Like, so obviously you've come over, you've got a salary, you do earn additional bonuses on top of that, but you know, how are you managing with the budgeting?
Yeah, no, at the beginning it was quite tricky because, like you said, I came in, I was just ordering food every day, I wasn't cooking. Yeah, coffees, going out on the weekend a lot, trying to, living like I'm already a qualified advisor, essentially. But after you come here for a month or two, you just understand, like, okay, there's coffee in the office, don't need a Starbucks, cook food at home, it's easy. But people live in Dubai on a lot less, and they with families as well. So if they can do it, I'm sure I can cut back slightly.
One less beer on the weekend. But I mean, at the same time, you've got to enjoy it, you know. And we try, and obviously we do the monthly groups where we take people out for dinner and stuff like that. You know, it's really important that you've moved to a different country. You know, yes, and I'll never call us family and we're a team, but it's important that we're all there for each other. Have you found that since you've come across, Jane, that the other guys in the office have been quite helpful, quite welcoming?
I mean, definitely.
Great opportunity to call someone out here if they haven't been.
No, I mean, no, seriously, I've actually enjoyed a lot of people's company outside the office, whether it's, you know, I think a few of us would be going golfing over the summer, just trying to get early rounds in because of how hot it absolutely is. Whether it's I've been playing darts with a couple of the guys that are in a darts league out here, which is good. That's something I picked up from the UK that many of my friends from home don't really understand just yet, but it's picking up steam over in the US a little bit. But yeah, no, I mean, it's been really good. I think people, as you say, we're a team, right? But people are super helpful to make you feel at home, especially for myself. I mean, this is the second time I moved to a different country, so it's a bit daunting doing it all over again, but it's good to know that you got people around you that are looking out for you, want to help you out, want to support you, and want to make sure you feel at home and at ease.
Yeah, awesome. Okay. And just while we go a bit further and talk about the next steps of your career. So you guys, 4 months in, I know you've all done your own, you've all brought clients on already in all different jurisdictions with different people. You currently work with most advisors across the company. Harry, you do a bit with the guys in the UK, you do a bit with the guys in the US, and you're working with all different people and learning from them as time goes on. I mean, the next 12 months is the most exciting because not only at the moment you're learning, you start to get good at what you're doing. You know, I can see it already. I mean, if I look at your progression over the last 16 weeks, and Matt and I talk about this, you know, it's insane how quickly we've managed to do it and how quickly you managed to do it. In the next 12 months, you'll probably get qualified for your first exam. You start onboarding your own clients. You'll then get to the point you'll get partnered up with advisors, and then the relationship starts and that sort of point of view. You know, and there's nothing to say you might not get to the advice process quicker than the rest. I mean, I'm really, really excited to see how it goes. And what we will do is we'll bring you all back on individually as time goes on. Today, obviously, a bit intense, all 4 of you together. But we've been really pleased to have all 4 of you on. We've been great to see the ups and downs of the first 16 weeks and how it goes. But you've all done a fantastic job. And yeah, I appreciate you guys coming on today. And I look forward to hearing more about your journey as we go.
Jake.
Awesome.
Thank
Yeah,
you so
thanks,
much.
Jake.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Jacob.